Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. Greed is good. You've heard that before, right? You know where that comes from, don't you? Comes from a character named Gordon Gekko, played by Michael Douglas in the 1987 movie Wall Street. Greed is good. Greed, it has such a negative connotation. So, you know what is fair and reasonable? I'll just say this rather than get into some sort of semantics game. Self interest is perfectly fine. Looking out for yourself and your significant other and your family, maybe you've got kids, doing what you're doing to make sure your life gets better. I'm not going to call that greed. I call that self interest, and that's the right thing to do. That's perfectly reasonable. When I think of greed, it's more so like doing something unethical, crossing the line. But if we could, reclaim that word to not have such a negative connotation, I'd like to take it back because I'll tell you what, as far as I'm concerned, XRP Greed is good. Hell, just listen to Warren Buffett. He's on your screen right here, right now. Here's a little infographic with his beautiful face right here. And here's the quote from Warren Buffett. And he was talking about the stock market, but it's true of crypto markets as well. It's the same humans with the same DNA behind them with the same silly-ass emotional buying and selling habits. But here's the quote from Warren Buffett. Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. So you got to kind of wonder here if that makes sense. And oh yes, it does. Then as prices drop, after, especially in particular if they've dropped like quite a bit, with Bitcoin being off, my gosh, from what was its high? I can't remember its all-time high now. 67,000, 68, 69,000, whatever. It was damn near 70,000. Well, today being hovering around $31,000. I don't know if it goes lower. I don't claim to. But isn't that a better buy and everybody's fearful? Because when everybody's in euphoria mode, you know what's going to happen. Price to the upside. So look, here's what I want to share with you today. Today's actually been kind of pleasant. We've seen mostly stable prices in crypto, compared to what we've seen the last 5 days or so. Yeah, it's mostly been a lot of sideways trading by and large. Don't mind seeing that. Now, regarding the analysts that I personally follow, most of them think that what is more probable is that the low's already been put in, and we're about there, and we're going to be seeing a reversal to the upside, even if it takes time to get there. It doesn't mean it'll happen overnight necessarily, but there'll be some sort of climb to that side. There are still some analysts that are like the doomsday prophecies. Some do think it's going to go even lower and to the low to mid 20 something thousands. And even some of the analysts that I follow that say what's most probable is we're going to see an upside. Even some of them say maybe it goes lower. They're just not really convinced for a number of reasons. And so I want to share with you some thoughts from the analysts. But it is nice seeing this because I know everybody's been scared out of their ever-loving minds. And to me, I'm just sitting here just plodding along like, yeah, it's just another day. Everything's fine. I see prices crater. I don't care. If I were in the mood to be purchasing, I probably would around these prices, and if they go lower, I wouldn't care. But mind you, look, I don't have a financial background of any kind. I'm not offering financial advice, so you should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this video, XRP is at 51 cents, and my gosh, it was as low as within the last 24 hours, 50 cents. So not as bad as yesterday. If you looked at this yesterday, it got as low as 48 cents. Bitcoin's right at $30,999. It's low within the last 24 hours, 30,400. But yesterday it was in the 29,000s. Not so fun to see. Then you got the crypto market cap, pretty low, 1.43 trillion. Of course, as I say that, it's so funny for me to be able to say, oh gosh, the crypto market cap, it's awful. It's only 1.43 trillion. Considering like several years ago, I was here at the bottom of the bear market and it was like 150 billion, 170 billion, wherever it bought, somewhere around there. And I was like, yeah, that was pretty low. And then I'm able now to say that the low is 1.43 trillion. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. Perspective, folks. That's why it's just holding makes sense. There's so many emotions that can come along with this, but it's just laughable. It's silly stuff. Here's the Crypto Fear and Greed Index at 12 out of 100, indicating that market participants are still in extreme fear. And look, I'm sympathetic. I get it. But you all out there, and me making this Moon Lambo video on the Moon Lambo channel with the silly ass name, we've all got to make our own decisions. We're all adults. We all get to choose. I think emotionally buying and selling is stupid. STOOPID, stupid. But if you want to go ahead and make important financial decisions based on how you feel rather than logic and data, go ahead. You can go ahead and do that. I don't mind. It's not my money. To me, it just makes more sense to be aware that that is how humans behave. They drive the volatility. We do need the volatility. So let them do it. That's my attitude. Let them do it. I'm not going to participate. But, you do you, girl. I'm just saying. Take a look at this from my fellow Xrp YouTuber, the Blockchain Backer. Tweeted this out this morning. The Dow Jones pierced the low yesterday, but now it's definitely a lower low. Quite concerning for stocks. And here's the chart that he shared. And so this is going to be interesting. How bad are things going to be for the stock market? And this is important for us in crypto because historically, crypto's followed the stock market for the entirety of its existence. And it doesn't mean it follows it down to the second, the day, the minute, the week, the whatever, pick your unit of measure. It doesn't matter. But if you zoom out on a chart, you can see it. And especially for the big swings in the stock market, crypto's right there to play as well. Very noticeable when to the downside. So think about what's happened over the last 5 days, and then think back to, for instance, March of 2020 with all the pandemic stuff. I mean, it was the end of the world. I mean, Bitcoin got down to $3,800, XRP down to 11 since everything was hurting. And was that a bad or a good time to purchase? Because think about this. There are some people that purchased XRP as it was plummeting down at 18 cents, 16 cents, 17 cents, 15 cents. That was me, by the way. I purchased. That's the lowest I ever purchased was 15 cents. But then it kept going. So I could have bought at 15 cents and been fearful because it did get down to 11 cents. But who cares? You're not going to hit the bottom. Make peace with that. Just like you're not going to sell the top. Almost 0% of humans will do either of those things. Sell the literal bottom or the literal top. It doesn't matter. Which is why when I'm selling, I'm not going to be mad at myself when I'm exiting my XRP position finally one day. Either the majority or all of it. As XRP price keeps going up, I'll be like, yeah, I expected that. Because I don't know where the top is, but I want to make sure I get something that's substantial for me. Perfectly reasonable. To me, that's the right approach, rather than hoping to nail the top and sell it all then. Plus, with exchanges, think about the risk you're adding on top of this. What if exchanges go down? It's just, to me, it's not worth the risk. I'm going to make peace. I don't care if I sell it, I'm like, whoa, this is making me a fortune. I'm selling my XRP. And then say it doubles or triples or whatever the multiplier is. I will not be kicking myself. I swear I'm not going to care. Because that doesn't make logical sense to beat oneself up for something like that. If you make your fortune, then you'll make your fortune. Leave well enough alone. Plus, you can't do it. You'd have to have the ability to see into the future, which you don't have. So you can sit there and cry once you have hindsight, but that's stupid. It really is. Take a look at this also from the Blockchain Backer. I'll make this chart full screen, but he said the following. No crazy reversal in prices today. And by the way, this is this evening, 7:02 p.m. Central Standard Time. No crazy reversal in prices today. Yesterday, we saw the most volume for Bitcoin on Coinbase in nearly a year. Obviously, not selling. Today, we had even more volume, setting a new yearly record, but the buyers squeaked out a victory. Yeah, so it is good to see that. And most people at this point, they've come around to the Blockchain Backers line of thinking, which is that we're in a bear market, but even so, people still think, a lot of them still think that we're at or very close to the bottom regardless. So if this is the bear market, it's been going on for however long, at some point we're just going to start getting on out of it. And you don't know it's happening when it's happening, not for sure. If you think that the literal bottom of the bear market last market cycle was December 15th, 2018. And I remember that date because it's one day after I launched my YouTube channel. It just happened to be. I launched at the bottom of the last bear market. Anyway, but we didn't know for sure that it wouldn't go lower. We didn't know that was the literal bottom, but then you see it creep out, and then eventually enough time passes where people get confidence yeah, it looks like that was the bottom. We're no longer in a bear market. Enough time passes. So we won't know for sure exactly when it happens, but it's going to happen. Now take a look at this from chart analyst Credible Crypto. He shared the following with his 330,000 Twitter followers regarding Bitcoin. And I'll make this chart full screen while I read what he had to say. I know that taking the lows at $28,000 at this point seems guaranteed, but forgive me for waiting for that to actually happen before accepting I was wrong about those lows not being breached. It's only because I have seen us get this close and then reverse before. We all have. And so he's pretty firm on this. He doesn't think that Bitcoin's going to be going below that roughly $28,000 mark. A lot of people seem to disagree with him. He acknowledges, he said it in other tweets. Yes, it's possible. It could happen. But he doesn't think that's what's probable to this point. And he does think the best is yet to come. He's one of the analysts out there. He's one of the most popular analysts out there. And he does believe that Bitcoin will go above that $100,000 threshold. He does believe XRP is going to exceed $10. And he also was saying last year that he didn't expect a blow-off top at the end of 2021. And he was one of the few people that was actually saying that. And then there was this from chart analyst Leb Crypto. There was this tweet from May 6th before XRP dipped. It was like 61 cents at the time, but he was warning, hey, major reload zone for XRP, in my opinion, 40 to 50 cents. And we got that. So I don't know for sure if that's the bottom. Nobody knows for sure, obviously. But he was noting here in a tweet today, he said, nice bounce from my reload zone so far, hashtag XRP. Now, he is one of the analysts that I follow that thinks that it's most probable that Bitcoin actually is going to go lower. How low? I'm not sure. I saw in a tweet, I don't have it pulled up for this video, but I can't remember if it was like 26, 27,000. It was something like that. Nothing bonkers. But he does think that there's more likely than not going to be at least one more dip before we then see a reversal. But he's very optimistic. That's just his own honest opinion, and we'll see what ultimately happens. But yeah, he has a very level head about this stuff. I've been following him long enough where it's just like he's like, well, it's like any chart analyst that I follow. Like they're not going to let emotions get to them. They're just like, here's what I think. Here's my matter-of-fact statement. Here's my opinion, whatever. And then they're just going about their day. They're not emotionally responding like the typical retail speculator. And then there's this from the Daily Hodl. This piece is titled, It's Time for Crypto Traders to Get Greedy. Oh, yes, XRP greed is good, my friends. I'll just note again, XRP greed is good. It's time for crypto traders to get greedy. According to analyst Nicholas Merton, here is his take on Bitcoin and Ethereum. A widely followed crypto analyst says right now is not the time to be calling for a bear market, despite worrisome price action. Data host Nicholas Merton tells his 516,000 YouTube subscribers that the Ethereum to Bitcoin ratio, ETH/BTC, shows that a risk-on sentiment is still proliferating in the crypto markets. And by the way, it's worth mentioning this. I've checked out so many chart analysts, and I follow X amount. I don't know exactly what the number is on a pretty regular basis. Not that I literally check all of them every single day, but there's a lot of them that I do follow regularly that I think are reasonable. They pretty much know what they're talking about, and they have a reasonable track record. Now, there's a lot, though, way more, where I follow them for some little bit of time, and then I'm like, yeah, maybe not. What you'd expect, right? Most people are not going to be good at this. Nicholas Merton here, he's one of the earliest analysts that I ever followed, dating back to either November or December of 2017. That's when I started following this guy. And there were a bunch of other guys that I was following. I was just jumping in. I was just like, you don't know who you can trust, who's going to have a good track record. You don't know that stuff. So I just dove in. I was like, I'm going to monitor this and see what happens. He's the only one from my early days of crypto that I still follow. He's the only one. Every other analyst that I was following, they either left when the bear market hit, or I just don't think that they do a good job. I'm not going to name any names. That would be not adult-like and unnecessary, so I'm not going to do that. But I just thought I'd point out Nicholas Merton. Been a fan for several years at this point. But anyway, here's the quote from him. Taking a look here at the ETH/Bitcoin ratio, the absolute reversal we've seen here over the past few hours, where we've been seeing the ratio picking up and almost getting back to the highs here, the highest level we've seen since January. This, especially with the volume kick-up we had here on Binance yesterday, is absolutely fascinating and one which cannot be ignored. That's why I'm again not emphasizing absolute bearishness and FUD. In fact, I'm in fact saying, hey, maybe we should get a little bit more optimistic. We should be greedy when other people are fearful. I think this is not the time to start calling for an absolute bear market. It certainly isn't showing that when it comes to the ETH/Bitcoin ratio, end quote. The analyst sees Bitcoin's current $30,000 range as strong support for the leading crypto asset by market cap. Merton says he thinks this is about as low as Bitcoin will go, and that now is not the time to turn bearish. And here's one more quote from him, and this was from today. The last thing that I'm thinking about doing is breaking convictions and selling my positions at $30,000. Certainly, in this case, we've seen the worst case scenario that we've talked about on the channel to come down to $30,000. Prices could possibly go lower. I got to be honest with you all, I don't see it happening. I'll stick to my guns on it. The reason why, and this is a great point of emphasizing 2 steps behind us. I remember how many times we retested this range at $30,000 back here in May of 2021, when the macro sentiment was much more optimistic. I remember how many times people thought, oh my gosh, we are going to sell in this case. We're going to break down below this range. But each and every time, buyers came in. They bought this range, just like they did back here in January 2021, and just like we're seeing right now with market prices here on May 10th, end quote. So look, nobody's some sort of wizard out here, like nobody actually knows for sure, but if you just draw upon your own life experience and look at history to come to reasonable conclusions, I think that's worth something, worth being aware of what seems to be probable. So is the worst behind us, or if not, are we at least super close? What I'm seeing from most analysts, again, it seems to be the case. So even though even if you're buying crypto now, don't assume you're going to buy the bottom. You're not going to buy the bottom. Almost 0% of humans will buy the bottom. Almost 0%. It's a stupid goal to have even. So if anybody is buying here, and I'm not telling you to buy or sell, I don't care. I personally am not buying here. Nothing against. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. That's not why I'm saying that. I'm just in full transparency stating I happen to not be. I wasn't looking to. I wasn't ready to purchase. So even though this crash happened, I'm not. But I'm just saying, if you are purchasing now, just it doesn't make logical sense to beat yourself up if it goes lower. That's my opinion. That's my personal, unprofessional opinion, but I'll go ahead and leave it at that. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.